Hello, welcome to McBoss Capital channel. My name is Michael Chu. This is a U.S. stock market recap video for the week ending April 10, 2026. So this week we have overall a pretty good week on all indexes. Obviously, we have the announcement by around the ceasefire on Tuesday evening, which helped propel the market much higher after that. And on this weekend, believe there is a meeting between JD Vance, the vice president, and in Pakistan with Iran representatives about the ceasefire in terms of negotiations and so. So we'll see what the outcome of that is. But the market has really taken a switch in tone. Notice how we have come down for many weeks, right? And we did have over 10% correction on, I believe, on all the index, maybe except S&P, I'm not sure, very close to 10%. But overall, it did come back really strong this week and looks really good. So here's the daily chart. Monday, we start to climb back above the pink line here, the 21 day, and we are above the 10 day. And then on Tuesday, with the anticipation, and again, we have no idea what's going to happen that day, the evening when Trump's going to announce whether there is what he's going to do in terms of whether they'll bomb their power plants and so forth. However, a final minute before that 6 p.m. Or 8 p.m. Eastern deadline was announced prior to that, and that they will start having a ceasefire negotiation. So that really boosts the market the next day. So that is a follow-through day. Volume was higher on S&P. On Nasdaq, it's not higher, just slightly lower, but still pretty high in terms of volume. So overall, it's still a good thing. And then since then, we have been falling through Thursday and Friday, so that looks really good. Nasdaq is up many sessions now. If you look at this, it's really a very interesting market, right? One, two, three. You notice how, the days where it fell hard, it bounced back and closed in the positive, right? And then here's another one. So it did that again on Tuesday. It fell hard and then it came back and closed positive, and this uptrend has it's 8 days straight uptrend, really strong. Push it all the way back above the red line, which is the 50-day moving average. So that's usually where institutions start to feel more confident again and start putting money to work. So in my second video, we'll go through growth stocks. The number of growth stocks in uptrend now is way over 50%. So make sure you follow that and see who are the potential leaders next. Here's S&P 500. It's up 3.5% for the week. Very similar chart as Nasdaq. So similar here on the daily chart on Tuesday, was able to come back and then waiting for the anticipation of the news that evening, and then we open up very strong. We gap all the way to the red line above it, and then we followed through Thursday. Friday we gave back just 0.1%. That is an incredible strength. And volume was much higher on Wednesday, so that's where we had the follow through day. The follow through day occurred here on the sixth day since the bottom, and so far it's been holding up really well. So this is really good news for this potential uptrend moving forward. Here's the QQEW equal weight Nasdaq 100. Unfortunately, here the chart looks a lot worse. And that's probably because of some certain areas of the tech, like software group. You can see we did jump pretty good on Wednesday here. And here you go, we had a big jump, but it reversed really strongly. And then Thursday and Friday, it went even lower. And now we're back below the 10-day again. So that is a very big divergence. You can see the RS rating coming down really hard. Again, many software stocks are getting hit behind the scene. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes here. And also, it's quite surprisingly, we have the equal weight S&P 500 here. RSP is the ETF. And we also see a surprisingly drop here on Friday as well, like cutting lows of intraday lows of Wednesday and Thursday. So this is also very interesting. So perhaps, the broader market might be pulling back at this moment after that big jump on Wednesday. So something to watch out for. Here's Dow Jones Industrial Average, also climbing back just slightly above the red line here, giving it a 3% gain this week. On the daily chart, we also have the huge bounce on Wednesday, Thursday, follow through. Friday, it pulled back slightly back to the red line. So not too bad, but volume was lower, so that's good. So we'll see if we can hold at this level. Here's Russell 2000 on the weekly chart. Also really nice bounce here above the red line. This one actually bounced 3.97%. On the daily chart, we see the gap up here on Wednesday above the red line, 15-day moving average, and then we continue to climb Thursday. Friday, it only gave back slightly, 0.2%, so that's still very good, holding all these gains so far. Here's a look at the Innovator IBD 50 ETF. It's a bounce as well. However, it's still below the red line here. So it's not as strong as one would like to see. It is up 4% for the week. In the weekly chart, you can see the bounce above the 21-day right there, followed through Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We are coming towards the red line. Actually, we're still below the black line here. So still quite a few resistance level on this growth stock list here. Here's the 10-year Treasury yield. It did fall on Wednesday after that news announcement, but it has bounced back now towards the green line here around 4.31%. The US dollar tumbled this week. Now it's below the short-term moving average 10 and 21-day, and it's approaching the 50-day here. And obviously the oil price, which is dependent on the war in some sense to prop it higher, has fallen. It did come back slightly Thursday, and then Friday it fell a little bit again. Obviously the oil price will be factored by how open the Strait of Hormuz is, so we'll see. So we had the consumer price index jumping 3.3%. That is met economist wills, but it's much higher than the February 2.4%. Core CPI rose 2.6%, also slightly below expectations. The University of Michigan's consumer sentiment survey dropped to 47.6%, which is down 10%, over 10% from March reading. Respondents see prices rising 4.8% a year from now, a full percentage point higher than March reading, and the war in Iran and rising fuel prices also weighed on this. So we have Vance left Washington for talks with Iranian counterparts in Pakistan, and obviously Trump warned Iran not to try and play the U.S. and hopefully Iran will open the Strait of Hormuz. For the week coming, we have Fedspeak and also Feds release their beige book. And also Tuesday, we see March Producer Price Index. For this week, we're going to see lots of bank earnings coming out, Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo, and many more. So IBD did raise the allocation from 20 to 40% to 40 to 60%. That is still kind of in the middle range. They don't use the signal whether it's in correction or under pressure. In this case, they're focusing more on the allocation. So it's okay to raise your allocation a little bit. And for the week, we do see a lot of accumulation, even Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So we see increase in accumulation in number of stocks here versus distribution, industry groups as well. On the sector side, technology fell back down by Friday. Again, lots of software getting hit hard. Retail, industrial, health is doing okay, and commodities, energy. Obviously, a lot of the energy stocks also start to fall because of the oil price coming down. And then we have financials okay here as well. So overall, we have more accumulation than distribution. One of the strongest area is the semiconductor. This one jumped 11% this week, over 11%. This is SMH 1X Semiconductor ETF here. Very strong move. Not only did it close near the red line or 50-day, 10-week moving average last week, but we definitely, bounced really hard this week, over the new high right now, and yeah, very strong. On the daily chart, you can see this nice move here coming above all the short-term moving averages here on Wednesday, and then now it's followed through Thursday and Friday on a very sharp slope right now on the 10-day moving average. One stock that has starting to show strength is Nvidia here. It recently kind of fell pretty hard here, possibly new lows there, and then we started to bounce, and right now it has come back above all the short-term moving averages here, 10, 21 day, 50 day, and it's also up 8 sessions in a row just following the index. So we are now, trading near the middle range of this whole consolidation. So as long as it can hold up here or not drop too much, and then we can might be able to continue to rally up higher to the previous high here. So that is the challenge right now. But we might get tested here very shortly here. Here's TSM building a nice round base here on the right side of the base, also coming out on Wednesday, and then Friday we did follow through, and but it did close near the bottom range, but we're not that far from a previous high. So this one, from that perspective, looked better than Nvidia. AMD actually saw lots of strength even before Wednesday. It hit new recent high on Monday, and then on Tuesday actually found support near the 10-day, and then Wednesday we gap up, and then we've been following through since till Friday. Here's ARM Holdings trying to come out on Friday, but it kind of miserably fell towards its low of the day. So that's not healthy in that sense. So unfortunately, it couldn't make it out. Here's Broadcom, also coming out on Wednesday. Nice trend line breaking above that, and then Friday we have a huge, really strong close, although volume is much lower. So again, perhaps time, when so many stocks are extended at this moment above their 10-day moving average, and they're also not rising on higher volume, might be a sign that they're ready to at least pause for a bit, right? Maybe go sideways. That will be the best pattern, and then form that nice handle up here, and then continue higher after that. So that's what we're hoping for in a lot of these stocks after such a nice week. The worst thing we want to see is coming back down really hard towards the 10-day. That'll be very negative in that sense, at least for the short term. So for this week, a lot of areas are up by the end of the week, but for one area that has been shut down was the software group. This is IGV, the ETF. It came up to the red line, but it reversed very fast after that. And that was on Wednesday morning. It reversed after the initial gap up. And by Friday, we are now hitting new lows, down 36% for this index alone. And looking at the daily chart, we can see it bounce all the way here to the red line, and that has been a resistance line, for a while. This is the first time it even touches it, but then it reversed by the end of the day, and then Thursday it came down further, Friday came down even further, and look at those volume, and this has to do with some news about like especially on Friday, Anthropic Claude Managed Agents offering, which allows one to autonomously handle business workflow and other effect as well. So that again, the story continues with the AI models continue to take over or provide capabilities that some of these software companies can do for them, and now it's being handled by AI agents and so forth. And this is Palantir, suffered also the same reversal Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Friday was down even despite President Donald Trump actually tweeted on Truth Social about their capability regarding the war, that it has helped them in some ways, and even then it still couldn't close in the green. So the software group is getting hit hard, even in AI related area. Um, and Microsoft, the software giant, and especially trying to capitalize on AI, also reversed this week from the highs here. So it didn't form a new low. That's the only good thing. But it is not moving as well. It's trading really tight on the daily chart here. We see the Wednesday pull back from the high range there, coming back to the short-term moving 10-day. And we still have this huge red line, which it hasn't even come close to it yet. The 50-day moving average there being a resistance level. Google is doing a lot better. You can see it's forming a lower channel line here, which is above 45-degree angle. So this is definitely worthwhile watching it. It did climb above the red line as well. So that's a nice trend line breakout. Another mega cap doing well is Amazon here, bouncing, breaking out Wednesday, Thursday, follow through Friday even higher, all on really strong volume. So that looks really good. His Meta also climbing back towards this red line here, so that's at least look pretty good at this moment. With Apple trying to reclaim its red line 50-day moving average here, just trading at that level. Tesla continuous downtrend. It went to a new low this week. Not a good sign at this moment. And one stock that has slowly gained momentum is Netflix. It has, came up over a month ago. Then we pull back very tight. Look at how tight this trading is. And then we start to move up nicely here and bouncing off the 10-day right there on Wednesday. And now we at new recent high. So overall, in summary, index performed really well this week. Of course, things could change in all of a sudden if there's any macro news related to the U.S. Iran Israel war, how that goes. But in the meantime, indexes in general are showing strength, holding up at near highs, and not far from their previous high either. And but we do have the equal weight not performing as well on Thursday and Friday after the gap up on Wednesday. So that is a potential warning sign there. Whether we will see a pullback in this coming week is might be highly likely, just because a lot of stocks are also extended. So then the next video, we'll look at the growth stocks. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, there are many growth stocks in uptrend now. So that is a good sign for the growth stocks rally. However, a lot of them are also extended, so that's another problem. So we're just waiting to find out, okay, who's going to give us the opportunity. If you don't have those stocks, you can enter into it, where to enter, and then if you do have those stocks, what can we add, and where should we focus? Thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe.